Hello, our friends, Evolutionary Energy Arts family.
Hello there. Welcome back.
Welcome back, guys. Lots of things to cover in this. Make sure you're subscribed to all three channels, Evolutionary, EEARTS, and also Heart Zone. So, I want to start over here, and this just hit me as strange. 3.3 looks to be off the coast of Mississippi, Alabama, as you can see right here. Yeah, Cindy was picking up that this could be related to something going on with all the oil wells that are out there in the Gulf. And what made me concerned was seeing something in this range, 3.3, 5 kilometers deep, so that's shallow. And we had seen 3 times off the coast of Palm Coast, right about here, 3.9s that they said was hull testing of a new warship for the U.S. Navy. And we got from the guides with those 3.9s that it wasn't that case at all. It was actually they were testing something that would be used later on to literally, attack the U.S. And we will be under attack at some point in the future. It's, oh boy, that question of when. That's the thing. When? Do we have a little more time, or is it just around the corner?
When I saw this, definitely understanding that this is something man-made. So I think it's from a lot of the drilling and a lot of the equipment out there. But the problem is it the start of a bigger problem? Are they allowing things to crumble and fall apart? I just feel like it's something we're going to hear a little bit more about. So definitely keeping an eye on this one. I don't like it. It feels like they're just really overdoing it with the mother. I mean, she might be pushing back a little bit.
Yeah, absolutely. And we've talked about these, this weaponry that could mimic what an earthquake could do and cause a big tsunami. So, that's really my prime concern. That's what I, just because I've gotten that sense that that's how, things really get escalated in the U.S. And we do see over here as well a 4.2 in Cuba. Typical. Otherwise, what we've been seeing, it's not an exceptional day by any means with 188 quakes listed of all magnitudes. It's actually pretty quiet. A little bit going on up here in Seattle, Idaho. Nothing really worrisome there. Now, the weather has been another story. Widespread floods and landslides hit Haiti. Haiti is just, it just seems like they get pounded all the time. 15 people dead, 8 missing. Again, it's a very impoverished nation. This is very tense. This little video shows people trying to escape with babies in intense flood waters that literally one wrong step you might be able to get up, but the kids might be totally swept away, and you might not be able to get to them. Here you see there's a baby wrapped up. Just intense floods. And this has been going on again. It just seems like everything has gone crazy since about 2017. But we are on a schedule, and we don't understand all the timing. Again, there are treaties that are involving entities that are not on the earth that go and expire at certain timelines. And what we got from the guides was one of them was in 2025. And this is exactly why you see all these things going on. And Ecuador, extensive damage, massive flooding, over 11,750 individuals impacted by this flooding. Again, Ecuador, beautiful place. There goes the feds. They got their coffee and they're sitting in and they're going to listen and see what we got to say today. This is just par for the course. And we have a deadly landslide hitting Sichuan province in China. Yeah, massive storms over there. So, absolutely, weather warfare hits everybody. This is, these technologies have been used on people in China, in Russia, U.S., both sides, BRICS and NATO, and yeah, I've shared with you guys before that when I was going through and studying World War One, World War Two, and other timelines, it seemed like always when there was a major conflict on, we had this huge uptick in global weather disasters, whether it be quakes, tsunamis, floods, all the above. And originally, I was thinking, I wonder if this is karmic. When people are feeling really negative and have, all these negative emotions going on, if that somehow increases the likelihood of huge Earth disasters. Again, each one of us is a cell in the planet itself, and we do all make up, along with other entities, the biosphere of the planet. Each one of us, our consciousness affects the planet. This is part of the greater reality. But these technologies have been in play well before any of us were born.
I mean, it only makes sense if these cells in a particular pocket are all not feeling good. There is going to be some type of purging. Something is going to happen, but they don't want you to connect yourself with the earth, because if we knew that we were one, I mean, we could really change a lot.
Absolutely. And actually, let's go over here first, because we still had more to cover Earth change wise before we get to all the chaos going on geopolitically. Hazardous magmatic eruption possible at my own volcano, and here you have the alert level raised to 2 in the Philippines. I am 100% sure all we're going to see is just a consistent uptick in the volcanic activity, as the guides had shown Cindy back around early December of last year, 1.5 years, and they showed her volcanic activity in what we take to be our own Pacific Northwest, and it did look the most like beloved Mount Shasta. But we looked at St. Helens and we looked at Rainier, and we were thinking about it could be other possibilities as well. But the picture looked the scenery looked the most like Shasta. And then they also showed her warfare going on, which we took to be warfare here in the U.S., open warfare here in the U.S. at that time. So when the Pacific Northwest is having volcanic activity, it translates to June 2024. We will have at the same time open warfare going on U.S. soil. That's how we translated it. It looks like all that could happen actually earlier. But at the same time, war does take typically some time to unravel, to move from one stage to another. Of course, we have so many sleeper cells on this soil right now. And, we see more and more activity going on in all over the place, The Earth is trying to save as many lives as she can. The consciousness of the planet is our mother, in a sense, the mother of the physical body.
Always keep in mind the act of a reflex. And sometimes when you hit certain parts of your body, you're going to get a reaction, whether you want that reaction or not. And I think so many times that they are using that automatic reaction that she has to cause a lot of chaos. And when I had that vision, this was curious too, and I don't remember the volcano that is next to Mount Shasta, but a little while ago, I think it was about 3 weeks ago, people were smelling sulfur. And in the vision, I mean, I don't know if that had to do with starting of things that are going on now, but in that vision, they showed me what was obviously a volcano. And then when I saw that other volcano, to me, it looked like a mountain. So when you're dealing with visions, it's important to remember that it's how you translate it. If they would have showed me the other one that was next to Mount Shasta, I would not have said volcano. So there's reasons behind everything, and you can never be totally, completely sure. But when you have this information, I mean, it's not something that I could sit on, even though I just absolutely do not like people to be frightened. But you have to also go with what you feel your mission is and what you're supposed to be doing here on this planet at this time.
Absolutely. So, just something to note, how this goes hand in hand. And of course, again, that technological aspect of all this that many, many, many are now awakening to. And so I'm not the only one out there that when people are tweeting as they are like crazy, there's so many bots and so many that are trying to push that climate change. It's all, basically because of the cars you drive, etc., or cow farts or something. And there's so many people standing up right now and saying, you're full of crap. This is just an obvious agenda. That's wonderful. That's wonderful. Now, if we could only get the soldiers of the world to, throw down their guns and look at the leadership and say, you guys are so full of crap. We're not going along with this anymore. Then we have a big step in a positive direction. So we have a tropical storm, Mawar, triggering landslides, lovely landscapes, landslides and flooding in Japan as well, leaving 2 dead, 5 missing. Everywhere we look, record rainfall. We went through a really interesting storm yesterday. It went from like 91 to like 63 at the peak of the storm, and then back up to like 87, 88. But 63 is just, it was such a drop off. It almost hit me as some sort of strange downdraft, atmospheric downdraft. That wasn't typical, because again, overnight now it's pretty much like around 70. So it just felt very, very weird. And we're starting to sense more when the technology is getting turned on. And I think a lot of people are. They're able to sense, it's like somebody turned on some massive technology that's going to cause some chaos. You could just sense it.
Oh, yeah. People coming up with sudden headaches, people getting, dizzy spells. A lot of these things can go hand in hand with ascension symptoms. So it's important to take time with yourself and figure out, okay, is this coming from something natural, or is something hitting me from outside of my energy field and causing these things?
Absolutely. So another fireball. And, again, when we watch the way it goes, it really does feel, to us, if it's a ship, it's not, again, what they say. Again, they always conceal and cover till the very last moment. And then they're going to give us disclosure, but it's going to be with a twist, because it's going to be like, okay, those little Anunnaki wikis that we used to give? Well, here they are, guys. Say hi. They're nice now. They're going to bring you ice cream and candy.
Yes, they're going to bring you treats and prizes.
Yeah. Zone, or I think it was Twilight Zone that did that one. They're here to serve humans, guys. Large-scale Ukrainian offensive repelled, so says the Russian MOD. Kiev's troops have been unsuccessful in their attempt to break through the front line, and they say 250 service members lost, 16 tanks, 3 infantry vehicles, 21 armored vehicles, and there's video that shows the battles going on. And, thing to note, too, a lot of the scenes that we see, where are they fighting? Right in the middle of beautiful, lush farmland. Again, depleted uranium shells. It's an attack on humanity is what it is. Russian Defense Ministry announces start of operational drills with Baltic fleet units. This is up in the Baltic. if you can't see what's happening is all the consolidation of who's going to be on each side is really going on right now. And not only that, but they are really coordinating their efforts on both sides. This is so important to understand, and these military drills are getting larger and larger and larger. So this one up in the Baltic is going to be about 40 ships and vessels, 3,500 military personnel, 500 units of military equipment, 25 aircraft and helicopters. And this is the smaller one that's going on. Russia, China, and 34 other countries participating in the Komodo drills in Indonesia. 34 other countries, the navies of 36 countries, will be attending this particular one. Yes.
I was just wondering, Komodo drills, Komodo dragon, just curious. I don't know, feels weird.
Yeah, when you, as soon as you were saying that. So, and Indonesia put out there that they, would be willing to help broker a peaceful resolution to all the chaos that's going on. That's wonderful. Indonesia is one of the largest countries in the world. If you're not aware of it, by the way, watch Russian Pacific Fleet conducting drills in the Sea of Japan, the Sea of Okhotsk. And, this is not just that side of things as well. Excuse me, guys. It's on this side as well. And so here we see unsatisfied with waging war in Russia, on Russia, and in Russia. Now Germany prepares a war against China by sending warships. Germans will join U.S., Canada, Australia, and a saber-rattling South China Sea. World War III in slow motion, absolutely. And all it takes is one person to make a mistake, to make a quick judgment, and there could be everything going hot. Yeah, at just any instant. And that's exactly what they are doing. They're just throwing it. It's kind of like kicking sticks out of a raging fire and then just seeing where they're going to catch fire themselves and create another fire.
I know, it's such a chaotic mess.
It is. Absolutely. But, again, this is part of what's planned. Poland to receive first South Korean Chunmoo missile systems in August. Poland's going to be getting these missile systems from South Korea. So, again, you could see all the allied nations are working together. They're pre-positioning everything. They're shifting around. The battlefield globally is taking shape. Globally. And, yeah, Poland very well might be the first country other than Ukraine to see direct conflict on it. It absolutely could be. the Gerald R. Ford is transferred to NATO command. So, again, this is pre-positioning on the bigger scale. NATO versus BRICS. That's going on right now. And meanwhile, Saudi Arabia welcomes Venezuelan leader Maduro, reaching out to yet another U.S. foe. As BRICS swells and NATO starts to become dwarfed by the BRICS nations, as it's just so many are coming and swarming in. It's the writing on the wall is pretty obvious for more and more people now. It's the end of one power structure and that dominance, and just simply handing the ball off to a new power structure. But again, it's still carrying out the will of the controllers. China warns severe conflict with U.S. would result in global unbearable disaster, and exactly that is what is planned. And then we're talking about all these illegal immigrants coming in, crossing through the Darien Gap. The Darien Gap's famous area of jungle, pretty treacherous. And, people are making their way in the millions, and millions are already here in the U.S., and, there's millions also throughout the NATO nations in Europe. And this is a Dr. Li Meng Yang, happens to be an independent virologist that's speaking out against the plague in the land and everything. Are the Chinese illegal migrants from Xi Jinping's special force jungle tiger? As a PLA female soldier mentioned, video translated, killing a chicken and drinking chickens, you know what, like a vampire, is special training for the PLA Special Force. She belongs to the 75th Special Operations Brigade, which is also called Jungle Tiger, founded by Xi Jinping in 2013, and it's loyal to the CCP. And it just shows the absolute complete brainwashing going on. And this is Michael Young, and he's having a meal here at breakfast and talking to his buddy, and they watch a Chinese group drinking shots of raw. Yeah, so again, putting two and two together, are these paramilitary? We keep seeing people that seem to be in great shape, military age, and they're coming over in droves. Absolutely, and they will be activated by, at the very latest time, June of next year. So at the very latest, if we are blessed to have that much time, we have about 1 year's time to situate ourselves out of the fray as much as possible. And, that's a challenge, because where do we see a lot of the battles happening? On farmland and out in the middle of nowhere. But of course, there'll be chaos in the cities as well. So this is where you really have to have that spiritual practice. And that's not just going somewhere one day a week or far less. It has to be a daily practice. You have to learn to quiet the mind. And really, again, you might call it your gut. Develop your gut. Develop your instincts. Develop your inner knowing, because that's what saves people's lives, and that's what guides them to the highest potential outcome for each individual life.
Oh, it does. It clarifies things so much. And then the food that you put in your temple, a lot of people say, well, I can't hear from my guides. And there's many different reasons for that. And one of the biggest reasons is, what do you put in your body? And then the second is making that time for your spiritual practice and realizing that's the one thing that needs to be prioritized. And that's one thing that you have absolute control over. So maybe you're in a situation and you want things to change. Quieting the mind, it's like stilling the waters so you can see deep into your soul to find directions. And then you can see things that are very solid right beneath those waters that have finally been stilled. So this is why we are always harping on get your spiritual practice and prioritize it.
As you see, 50 police officers injured. This is in Germany. The world is obviously a powder keg, and again, there's going to be many people that find themselves right in the middle of a powder keg. Again, the biggest population centers are going to have some of the most challenges. But then again, if you find yourself situated somewhere that you think might be good, and then all of a sudden there's a major battle overhead, again, it's developing that intuition, which is so real. And Mark J knew about this before most people did, and this is our brother up in Kansas. By the way, there's a couple of quakes up in your area, Mark. I wonder if you felt them. NRA executive whose daughter and granddaughter were killed in a plane crash also lost a child in 1994 scuba tragedy. Oh boy. Yeah. He's a prominent, donor. Those four letters there. John and Barbara Rumpel. This is his daughter and granddaughter that were killed in that small plane crash, along with the nanny and the pilot. And they think it might have been a cabin depressurization and everybody passed out, and then the plane just went down. Well, he happens to be a big Second Amendment supporter and has donated tons of money for that battle. Yeah, you could say, I'll let you guys make your own conclusions on this. 34,000 feet, so that's typical jet. This was a small plane, but that's typical altitude. Decompression, yeah, you could pass out for sure, and it just went and crashed in. What do you guys make of this? Is this just a horrible coincidence? Who these people who these people are, and where they donate their money. Yeah, I look forward to seeing your comments on that. Mondays, that's the deadly heart attack day of the week. Again, it's the system that is really slavery. It truly is slavery, because we are creative beings. We're meant to create. We're not meant to work like drones and just do the same thing day in, day out. I mean, we do that because we have to make money to keep ourselves going in this world. But see, the whole world system is the problem. And, again, people get sold on capitalism, and they think, well, if you're not a capitalist, you must be a communist. Well, how about neither? Again, communism, socialism, capitalism, fascism, all these are ideas, truly, that are given to us by the power structure. And it's with the idea of giving you a selection, which one you're going to pick. Anyway, you're picking the power structure. This is the thing we have to wake up and understand. And Monday is the start of the work week. Do you think it's any coincidence that most heart attacks that result in death happen on the day that most people dread?
That's right. There is definitely an emotional component to it. And if you're in a stressful job and you're trying to enjoy your weekend, how often do you find yourself floating back to, oh, but this is temporary. I have to go back to work Monday. The chaos starts again Monday. So your weekends are even robbed from you before you even get to have them. And that's just how they set up this system. It's so unfortunate. And what about the option of, giving what you can of yourself, and everybody working in a very symbiotic way? And granted, at first that might be a little bit bumpy because everyone has their traumas they got to work through. But what if everyone had their heart chakras open and they were willing to work on their traumas and willing to work with other people in their traumas? And even if they might have hang-ups, even if they might have certain quirks about them, what if you were just loved anyway and you moved forward anyway? And things could be built so fast, but by golly, they don't want that. They need good cop, bad cop.
So spending time out in nature can actually boost your T cells, and these are your, infection killing cells. These are the cells that protect you against disease. And I remember when I did get Lyme's, and I was actually working for, believe it or not, a dreaded pharmaceutical company. Oh yeah, and this was part of my big reveal. It was part of my big reveal. I had several family members, my family, that were working with this company, and they said, you should really come work for them. The benefits are incredible, and they're good people, and et cetera, et cetera. And yeah, the benefits were the best I ever experienced, and it was a really nice work environment. Absolutely. But that's where I saw, like pharmacists prescribing things and filling, things out to give to people. And when I asked them, would you do that? I don't think so. That's a big statement, when you're talking to people that graduated from Harvard and Yale, and, yes, they are a part of this system, and they themselves wouldn't do it. This was, again, going back quite a ways in time. But it was a big reveal to me. And, one of them in particular who I thought was really, really incredibly intelligent and very, very well-read. No, he wouldn't, and he was terrified of that stuff that routinely was being handed out to so many people of all varying ages when we talk about, like, cancer cells. The body fights cancer cells with killer cells. Strengthen your immune system. Mother Nature will do that for you, and learn how to draw in the life force. This is the missing component. They don't teach you in medical school about life force. They don't even really teach you about nutrition. And that's an atrocity. But certainly they don't teach you about life force. That was the whole missing component in my mind from the Western side of things. And of course now in China, certain teachings, certain practices are just, again, disappearing. They're going extinct as the Western model is fully in place. Absolutely. Get out in nature. And that's what my naturopath said. That was one of the first things she said. She said, instead of going to a gym, I'd rather have you go for a walk out in the woods or on the seashore. Just go be in nature. And again, that was part of my shift to really building up my daily practice of Qigong and intentionally, consciously drawing in life force that's all around us the entire time. Our entire lives, we're walking through this ocean of life force, and most people don't even know it's there. It's free. Just consciously start to take it into your body. And just sitting there, you don't have to do it in any certain way, shape, or form. Just sit comfortably or stand comfortably. And as you breathe, just envision that the life force is coming into your body, and just see yourself mentally taking it into your body. And as you exhale, just envision your body glowing with a healthy light. Just that act, when practiced regularly, can build your immune system. And it doesn't cost you anything.
Right. And I'm going to speak to those because I also know, this is the best way to go. If you can do this, this is fabulous. But there are people who are kind of trapped at home. They can't get out. They can't get out to nature. And that's really sad. But out of all the things that I have learned, the best trick I've ever learned, and I wanted to do a whole video on this, but I'll just go short, is castor oil. And you don't want to take castor oil in your body. If you're having a lump or a problem on your body and you put the castor oil out there, it also calls in the T cells. And they don't teach us any of this stuff, but I wanted to do a whole video on that. But absolutely, the way Mike says, I think brings you the most peace and it's most advantageous. But for those of you, if there's a lump, a tumor, or something like that, bone spurs, it's known to break it up and break it apart. So many wonderful things we can do on this planet that is there at our fingertips in one way or another. But, they just sort of avoid the truth.
Because it doesn't lead to control. Again, if it doesn't support the monetary system, which is ultimately about keeping the enslavement of humanity going, then they're going to do their best to not let you know about it. When you look at nature is amazingly beautiful. And nature has everything we need in it. We don't need anything. And so, there are some quotes from the Bible that are remarkably familiar because they're very, very similar to what we see in some of the other scriptures from around the world that tap into certain universal truths, such as, everything we need is right here the entire time. It doesn't have to be manufactured. It doesn't have to be isolated. It doesn't take a factory. It doesn't take technicians. No, you have everything you need. This is how everything really is. It's just that we are deceived into thinking that we don't and that we have to rely on others. You don't have to rely on anybody. Even if you have this play buddy that, won't play with you, or, the ball is right in front of you, but that other ball looks more fun.
There's something different about it, and I like that one. But this one I really liked because it kind of speaks to certain forms of dyslexia where you see all the same things people see, but you see it in a slightly different way or a really different way. And sometimes you don't see things at all, and sometimes you see things that nobody can.
Absolutely. We are each a unique individual having a unique trip. So thank you guys for being part of this family. Share these videos far and wide as much as you can. Anything that you can do to quicken the transition out of the dark system and into the age of the beginning stages, because we're not going to just step right into a golden age. It takes time, but it takes daily effort to bring that about as well. Much love. God bless. Namaste.
Namaste.